Up.
What up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It is Kush back at it with another live stream, Just Chilling podcast. And with me, I have my man, OGR, One Giant Rebuttal from OGR Sports. Go over there. His link is down below in the description. There it is, down below in the description. Go check it out. Sub him up. OGR, how you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. I wish I could say the country was doing better.
Bro, yo, there's like, I don't like to get into it on the channel, but if you follow me on Twitter, I put out all my
I've
things.
noticed. I've noticed.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that listen, to put it out the way, I like to think myself as moderate in between. Michigan was extremely fishy. I ain't letting that go. But at the same time, it's like I feel like he's generally won the electoral and popular vote. But I will not deny the fishiness and suspiciousness of Michigan.
Then apparently you're not up on the news.
What's happening?
In Michigan, the software they use to count ballots in one particular county, they were off by 6,000. The software was beginning to glitch, and they gave 6,000 votes to Biden that were supposed to go to Trump and the people that were down ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, in 47 other counties, they used the same software. So 6,000.
Was it bugged in the other 47 though?
That's what they're trying to find out.
Mm-hmm.
It was bugged in that one. So not saying that, that
because like I said, I fully think I am not convinced that Michigan was just straight up like randomly in the night all those got there. But if it was bugged in the 4700, then that's really important, because even without Michigan, I think he still has a pretty good chance to 270.
So what's going on, guys? I mean, we're not going to talk about this too much, but I just want to point that out. Obviously, it is the topic of the thing, but you know what? We're here to talk about the New York Football Giants, the game with the Washington football team. Thank God.
And in general, the Giants in general. Real quick, shout out to everybody in here: Mike Nixon, Mr. Old Bad Dog, Krez24, David AV, PTA's dog, aka Ligma, Scotty H, Edward Chan, Kyle Cruz. How y'all doing, man? Jaden Dawkins, Logan. How y'all doing? So OGR, you put out a very interesting video literally about an hour ago. I watched it with OGR here. It's very short. You guys could go and check it out. Come back if you want. Or, you know what, OGR, you could just give your spiel here, because it was something pretty interesting, considering that coming off of the Bucks game, a lot of people were heated about DJ. Then I feel like a lot of people calmed down about him, and now they're not sure where to stand. Where do you stand right now?
All right, so I'm getting sick and tired of arguing about DJ. Is he the guy? Is he not the guy? And basically in the video I was saying, to me, what DJ is irrelevant. And people are like, well, that's the most important part of a team, a quarterback. Well, even the most staunch Daniel Jones hater has to admit that we're not a QB away. So if we're not a QB away and we have massive inconsistency in our offense, why not still build around Daniel Jones, or maybe a stopgap guy if you really don't want, DJ? Build your offensive line, get your number one wideout, go get your tight end of the future, because Butterfingers Evan Ingram ain't doing you much justice, and build the right way. If you look in the past, the Giants did that with Eli when they drafted him, and then go at the top of the draft and get your guy. Or better yet, where was I? I lost train of thought, but you guys know what I mean. So anyways,
But yeah, no, I completely agree with OGR. If most of the people in this chat are basically in every single one of my live streams, it's usually the same group, so they know where I stand. After the game, right after the game, I said this in every single live stream since then. I've said this. My general opinion is, whether you think Daniel Jones is quarterback or not, so if you believe that we need a new one, I'm still of don't draft them this year, which you should do for either side of the fence that you're on. Finish the defense, because the defense is honestly really close to being finished. You know what I'm saying? Get an actual reliable number one pass rusher and get, either a cornerback.
Well, it's not legit finished. The problem is I think you still need a middle linebacker next to Blake Martinez. I think you need a free safety. Only reason I'm going to argue that is because I don't know if McKinney is a free safety. If he's not a box safety, then you have a hybrid with Jabril and him, which you really don't need at that point. I mean, it does give you options.
Yeah, so here was I was gonna say. Either in addition to that pass rusher, either get a corner number 2 or a middle linebacker number 2. The reason I think you don't need all of the positions we just listed, you just need maybe 2 out of the 4, is because when you have the 2 out of the 4, you can honestly cover up the performance of the others. You know, we've seen it all the time in NFL defenses, and with how hard and how good Patrick Graham has his defense playing with a number one pass rusher and one of the other three, I think it's going to be good, to be honest with you. And then fix the offense. This is something you really pointed out in your video. The offensive line has yet to be completely fixed. Finish that. I think people forget, despite the fact that Monday night they performed well, it's one of maybe 2 or 3 games where the offensive line performed well. We'll still need a reliable weapon, because Monday night was probably the only night, I don't know if you agree with this or not, that our weapons got open like reliably. That was probably the only game I could count on that. It was unfortunate that Daniel was not reliable, but Monday night, don't let that distract you from the fact it was one of the only games they were reliable. So we still need another weapon.
So first off, I agree. And second, what's going on, Cowboy X Factor?
Shout out to Cowboy and Nerding Out Sports in here.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, I completely and utterly agree. I'd like to fix the defense, but I want to fix something. Like, I'm tired of sitting there with the inconsistency. Like, everybody's like, but you're not QB away. So I just, to me, people just raging out on Daniel Jones. And I heard somebody else say today that, well, if Daniel Jones is not the guy and we keep Daniel Jones, we're setting back the franchise for 3 years. And I'm saying to myself, did we suddenly get new ownership and a better GM or something that I don't know that it's suddenly going to be fixed? I hate to be the most negative one in the room, essentially, but the Giants have been a bad franchise for 9 years. What makes you think that it's going to turn around overnight? I'm about to say don't be hopeful, but still.
I just want to know where y'all getting these pictures from, bro. That's the Hubs Shockey jersey. That's
I can tell you where that's from. Oh, are you coming out with another skit this week?
I've literally been so occupied keeping my eye, like what we're talking about on the beginning on the election would work. Maybe if I can make one somehow tomorrow, I'll get it out. But it's probably looking like no. It's just been a really busy time.
Yeah.
But to get to what you're saying, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of completely on board with what you were saying. But what do you say to people, for example, like PTA's dog, who are just completely off of him, who like literally want him gone no matter what, where they would be like, okay, I agree with you. Let's finish fixing one side of the ball, but let him not be the person behind center next year.
Even if he's not, like, all right, so if you don't want DJ, then go get yourself a free agent quarterback. I mean, do you want Jameis Winston? Do you want Ryan Fitzpatrick? Do you want there's a bunch. I'm trying to think of one or other. Dak Prescott, like, yo, that is awesome.
Hoodie OGR, aka Mr. Sear. This is an old one too. He has his hair in there.
Yeah,
that's from a couple months ago. So this is what people are saying. They're saying get Jacoby Brissett. I know as of right now in the chat, Ligma's the only one that suggested it. But even in my last streams, they're like, yeah, sign somebody, sign a Jacoby Brissett, sign a Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Okay, so if you're tired of DJ, then we trade you DJ away, see what you can get for him. I don't think you're going to get much. I think something similar to whatever. Well, actually, I don't even think you're going to get what the Cardinals originally got for trading away Josh Rosen.
They got what, a second round?
Yeah, I don't even know if you're going to get that. And then go get Jacoby Brissett. Okay, great. Jacoby Brissett's a borderline starter. I don't think he's much better. I think he's safer with the ball. You know, maybe he has a slightly better arm than DJ. If you want, I mean, what did Jacoby Brissett do with the Colts when Andrew Luck was out with a neck injury? Exactly. Like, if Jacoby Brissett was such a great quarterback or a good enough quarterback, why is Jacoby Brissett starting for the Colts right now?
Yeah.
Why is it Philip Rivers?
Exactly. Jaden Dawkins, I know Jaden Dawkins is joking here, but because of the state that the Texans are in right now, he's like, get Deshaun Watson from the Texans. I mean, honestly, Bill O'Brien trading away Deshaun, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm kind of joking with that, though. Don't trust me. I'm kind of joking with that. We got myself in the chat. This is my legal name right here. I guess, yeah, this is not my actual personal account, but we got myself in the chat. Block Nation, Mike Nixon. So listen, here's my next question to you, right? We got Edward Chen, who was saying that we are a QB away. Those losses were quarterback mistakes. Here's my thing. I think the only loss that was truly on him was Monday night. And he has made the same mistakes throughout the entirety of the year, but I wouldn't say we're a quarterback away. What about you?
Oh, definitely not a quarterback away. Edward Chan sounds like somebody who wants the Giants to be good because he's tired of being bad for so long. And, you know, he almost has the bad dog frame of mind. Bad dog's frustration comes from the Giants losing and being bad for so long. So he's willing to go with whatever narrative, whatever's popular, to sit there and beat the out of it, essentially. But the fact of the matter is, there's no one thing, because even if you want to say, okay, it's DJ's fault, well, why didn't the defense just stop Tom Brady? Why didn't the defense stop Carson Wentz? Why didn't the defense give up any of these leads? Like, if we're just a QB away, then what is our defense doing? Like, our defense is giving, what, 48% of all third downs? We're one of the worst in the league. Like, our defense has been solid for the amount of talent that's on it.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit there and say, oh, well, defense is fine. No, it's not. It's not fine at all. Like, we're not a dominant defense. We're, you know, slightly a below average defense. And we're coming off a year previous where we were a dog shit defense. So we went from dog shit to slightly average, below average, depending on how you want to rate it.
That's where I do disagree with you. I would say we are an average defense, because the defense right now is performing with mad injuries. We're talking about both of our outside linebackers are out. We're talking about our starting free safety is out. Our second middle linebacker is out.
Yeah, but the guys
are missing pieces. And without that, we are slightly average. So I think with that, we would be actually average. That's why I'm like, we're a number one pass rusher away and a cornerback or middle linebacker away from being finished. That's why I wouldn't use the word fix. I feel like the defense is well on its way to being fixed.
Problem is, we've never been consistent. Like, there's the problem over the last couple of years is everybody's been like, last offseason, we're all counting on the offense to carry this team as the defense catches up. And then the start of this season, we find out it's the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. So what's stopping the defense next year taking a step back? I mean,
I would say Patrick Graham. That would be the big difference, is it not?
I hope Patrick Graham is the difference. I hope everybody buys in. Year 2, Patrick Graham's even better than year 1. I really do. But I am done being this friendly, optimistic Giants fan. I am going to stay, you know, relatively in the center, because I'm not going to shift there and sit there and just start beating the crap out of this low-hanging fruit, because I just feel it's pointless to sit there and scream your head off every week. Like, at some point, you have to come at it as a logical fan.
Exactly. Edward Chan says our defense is struggling because our offense is, I feel like this is a factor. I don't think it's the only factor, but it is a factor. The offense is constantly turning over the ball and not moving the ball. This is mostly due to DJ, because he can't move the ball and is turning the ball over.
Edward Chan, that's completely not true. Because if that was truth, then we'd be leading in the time of possession. There's very few games where we've led the time of possession. The defense can't get off on third down. That's why they're also getting tired. And then on top of that, it's exacerbated if Daniel Jones turns the ball over, because they finally get off the field on third down. Maybe they give up a field goal or whatnot. I disagree with you. We're not quarterback away. And even if you, yes, if you want me to admit this much, would better quarterback play this year lead to more wins? Sure. But you can say that about any team that has more than 3 or 4 losses.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I feel like that's a factor. I wouldn't put that as the only factor. The thing DJ turning the ball over twice a game does, like OGR says, exacerbates the fact that the defense is constantly tired. But he has a point in the fact that we're one of the best defenses on first down, and then probably the worst defense when it comes to getting teams off on third down. Here's the thing. Shout out to Sujit out here. He's usually in my things. You really think we're going to do worse than the Jets, bro? Like, let's keep it real, CG. There's no way this is happening.
Yeah, the Jets are the worst team. I mean, literally, Jets fans are welcoming 0-16.
Yeah, no, OGR, look at their schedule. We say it as a joke, but they legitimately might not win another game with the teams left on their schedule. I don't see a winning game. They are probably going to be the third team in NFL history.
They have a chance this week against the Patriots if the Patriots are totally like disheartened.
Come on, bro. This is going to be the Patriots comeback game. Everybody going to be like, oh, my God, Bill Belichick still got it. He's going to, like, blow out the Jets with no talent. Like, Bill Belichick is still the mastermind that we thought he was, man. Come on now. But I did see another interesting one. It scrolled up, so I can't put it up. It's unfortunate that we're sitting here talking about the draft at this point in the season, but, I mean, it is a thing. Who or what position would you look to? Are you still looking to your guy?
I want best position. I want best position available, because if you're going to be in the top 5 or trade back, especially now, I think this is the prime year to trade back. To be totally honest with you, But if you had a gun to my head, I want the best player available. If that's Penny Sewell, take Penny Sewell. If that's Micah Parsons, take Micah Parsons. It all depends where we are. Like, I'm not gonna sit there if we're drafting late teens because we won 5 or 6 games, okay, then draft Pat Freiermuth from Penn State as a tight end.
No, Pat Freiermuth is you would take a tight end in the first round?
I just really want Pat Freiermuth.
No. Okay, I was about to say, I was like, tight end in the first round? Come on now. Now here's the thing. Speaking of tight ends, and Evan Ingram, obviously his trade stock obviously went up after he had a good game against Washington. Are we actually going to get rid of him in the offseason? Do you think we're actually going to trade this man away in the offseason?
He needs to be consistent for the next 8 games for us to get anything in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
If he has some semblance of consistency, absolutely.
What about Leonard Williams? Leonard Williams is the highest graded Giant through the first 8 weeks of the season and is currently our best pass rusher by far. Trade isn't an option because we only have him on the 1-year franchise tag. Are we letting him go, or are we going to try and re-sign him? What's the deal here?
It depends who you value more, Dalvin Tomlinson or Leonard Williams.
I would value Leonard Williams more, but I'm not signing him for $20 million. I'll say that.
All right, and if he wants $20 million, let him go. He doesn't deserve.
How much would you give Dalvin? Dalvin is just a pure nose tackle with flashes, in the passing game. But what are you going to give Dalvin?
I'm giving neither more than 17. I think 17.
I wouldn't give Dalvin more than 14.
Yeah. So, but if you're gonna re-sign Dalvin, then you're going. But I think the Giants legit. If Dave Gettleman's still the GM, he's keeping Leo. He's probably going to sign him to a 2-3 year deal, and then he's going to let Dalvin walk, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
Because to me, you have Dexter Lawrence that basically takes
Dalvin's spot, and Dexter is way better in the passing game than Dalvin is with pass rushing.
Exactly, and then Giants fans have been asking for Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams to be on the field more. So
at the same time, right?
Absolutely, Zach Phillips. After what comparing the veteran leadership of Logan Ryan to that of Golden Tate, that's the leadership of this team. An example like that goes a long way. Absolutely.
Before we get into the actual Golden Tate thing, speaking of Logan Ryan, he's not gonna. I don't think he's worth that. What did we sign him to? $7 million a year. I don't think we have that kind of money this offseason to give him $7 million. What are you gonna give Logan Ryan? You think he's gonna be willing to take a cheap contract and come back?
We'll see. And we'll just see how much he buys into this team. Because to him, has a belief in the team. You know what I'm saying?
Once again, back to what you're saying, he actually looks like a leader on here. Now, let's talk about Golden Tate. Just give me your thoughts on it, man. Give me from the beginning. Did you agree with him? He should have been targeted more. And then, the way him and his spouse handle it and where we are now, what the dude was on the scout team and today with practices, as part of his punishment. What do you think about Golden Tate and the whole situation?
It's over. It's over. There's no coming back from something like this. Literally, he went overboard. Obviously, frustration was mounting. That's why he went out with it. Getting him the ball more. Get open more, bro. I just think it's a man that I think it's 2 parts. One, he has frustration with the team not getting the ball, being a wide receiver, and the other thing is I think he's having a hard time realizing that the end of his career is coming. I think it's a person that's extremely competitive and he thinks he's better than he really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's frustration about himself and the Giants all at the same time because this losing can't be helping him either.
So what do you think about, I've seen a couple rumors saying that he might be benched this game, or at least he's not going to be a starter, kind of like how Andrew Thomas was a couple games ago.
Well, I don't think he's going to be benched this game. I just don't think he's going to see a lot of snaps.
I've even seen one saying that he might be inactive. Now, that's a little far stretch. How do you think about the way judges handle it and the punishments he's been giving them?
How has Judge handled it? I think people don't like the fact that, a lot of people compare it to what Judge did with DJ and the punishments he's handed out to the guys that went out without the mask, and then this. I think Judge basically, he punishes you how you've represented the team. So, obviously this is more public. This is more media-based. So he embarrassed him. You embarrass the franchise, I'm going to embarrass you. This is how it works. He could have kept this in-house and let his frustrations know. He could have handled it, differently, and he chose not to. So Judge said, okay, you want to play this game, you can be embarrassed. So you either work your way back into this team and be a part of it, or we can fight the rest of the offseason. At the end of the day, everybody's behind me and not so much behind you.
Do you think he's been fair?
A lot of people would say no. Me personally, I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it. I'm fine with it as well.
This is coming. I'm coming it from a construction aspect where nothing's fair in construction. So.
Let's see what we got here in the chat. Judge has been fair to everyone, in my opinion, is what Jaden Dawkins says. So G says Jones ain't seeing Tate open down the field. Stop calling Tate a diva. I don't think any of us called Tate a diva.
Nope.
And to give my thing on it real quick, I was actually on Tate's side in the beginning of it before it spiraled out of hand, because while yes, I agree with you, you want to get more targets, get open. He has been relatively open in Philadelphia and in Monday night against the Bucks, and even a little bit during the Washington game 3 weeks ago. So I was very perplexed. I was very confused, flummoxed, all of those synonyms on stream when KB was there. I was like, yo, Kibble, isn't that like the first pass to Golden State all game? And it was that pass that was like halfway through the game. And I was like, that's kind of weird. We're not really targeting him that much. And then next thing you know, that whole thing, his wife going off on social media, Tate going off on the camera, him, like you said, kind of basically embarrassing the Giants organization a little bit. That's where I start to teeter off, because I did agree with him. I was like, he should be getting more targets. It doesn't make any sense. And then he just kind of went and it got out of hand. So that was kind of my stance on it to give you guys there. And shout out to Raymond K. Thank you so much, the Jets fan, for the $2 super chat. He says, OGR, would you take Lawrence if New York somehow got Trevor Lawrence? I guess he's saying if we got in the position to take Trevor Lawrence. If
it would take us to get the number one pick, and let's face it, your Jets are getting the number one pick. Unless the I don't want to mortgage the future to go get Trevor Lawrence. I don't. I just don't. And I mean, I know a lot of Giants fans, that's going to be around the trap. If there's a big deal, like Trevor Lawrence says, hey, I'm legit not going to the Jets, and the Giants are number 2.
So if he pulls an Eli Manning, basically.
If he pulls an Eli Manning, that's something you have to consider. But the Jets are going to want a king's ransom. And do you want to mortgage the future for Trevor Lawrence? I don't know.
Shout out to Zach Phillips, by the way. Thank you so much. That's a nice family picture, if that's your family picture, Zach. For the $5 super chat, he says, I said family picture, that he's like, this is a family. Judge wants this to be a family. He don't want any player talking about another player. I don't know if Tate was necessarily talking about any other player, but what do you think about that? I wouldn't say Judge wants this to be a family. I just feel like he wants it like everybody respects each other, but more so than not, they put the team above everything else.
Yeah, it's very Patriot-esque. He has a very Patriot-esque attitude, but he's not the Patriots. So that's what I do like about him.
So what do you think about this right here? Trevor Lawrence is smart. He's not going to go to the Jets. Listen, here's the thing. People were saying that about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is smart. He's not going to go to the Bengals. And this is obviously – it's coming up more because let's be honest with each other, and I'm sorry, Raymond, but the Jets are a way more, worse organization than the Bengals. Do you actually think that there's a chance that he does this?
I disagree that the Jets are a worse organization than the Bengals because they actually have won Super Bowl.
Okay, let's talk about recent years. Come on, that's all the way back in what, the 70s?
Recent years, they both been shit. Both are inept organizations, almost equal. So I'd give the slight nod to the Jets because at least they've been more competitive in the 2000s than the Bengals. So I give the nod slightly to the Jets. But no, the only way it's happening if Trevor pulls an Eli. I don't see Trevor pulling an Eli. He just doesn't seem like the type of kid that would pull an Eli. And let's face it, Trevor doesn't have the lineage that the Mannings have, where the Mannings know how the NFL operates.
And the strings to pull. Shout out to Raymond once again. He says, OGR, would you strongly consider Fields or Lance?
For you or the Giants? I'm assuming you mean the Giants.
He means the Giants.
Well, here's the thing. I never trust an Ohio State quarterback because like every position on the field is a 5-star recruit.
Thank you. I agree. I'm going to tell you this. Ohio State QBs and USC QBs, I just don't rock with them.
Exactly. Every guy's a 5-star recruit. Lance reminds me a lot of Colin Kaepernick. And that long strider, that guy that has some speed, burning you down the field, has a big arm to make those big throws. But I don't see a lot of intermediate stuff that I'm like, you know what? This is what's going to earn you your money in the NFL. I don't see him, reading the defense and making that zone,
Is
finding
he
the
Josh Allen 2.0?
Huh?
Are you saying he's a Josh Allen 2.0?
I don't know if he's a Josh Allen 2.0 because do the Giants even have the ability to have the patience to go through a Josh Allen 2.0? Because think about the growing pains Bills fans have had to go through with Josh Allen. Giants fans don't have the same patience Bills fans do.
The thing is, though, Bills fans were almost to like a delusional point, always believed in Allen no matter what through his struggles his first 2 years. That there's also that, like, they believed in him no matter what.
So now would I strongly consider Fields or Lance? And also, if you watch my video and what we've talked about before, I want the Giants to fix their issues on offense, on defense before getting the next young QB, because I believe in having a foundation in place before you go get your guy, because if you don't, you risk just becoming the Bears and the Cleveland Browns, where it's been 30 years since you've had a quarterback. I mean, it's been 30 years since Bernie Kosar almost, and it's been 30 years since Jim McMahon, and he wasn't even a good quarterback. Jim McMahon is a dead average quarterback, so we'll see.
What do you think about this? Andrew Thomas has not been good at left tackle. Move him to right tackle, please. I have several thoughts on that because, I'm a big Andrew Thomas dude, but let me get yours first.
Move him to and move him right tackle. So if he struggles at right tackle and Pert struggles at left tackle, what do you say then? It's like, what did you expect? Like, I understand Becton and Wills are playing better or have played better, but you've got to give the guy the totality of the season. You're going to give the guy the totality of the next season. If he's not performing up to snuff, the Giants will yank the chain and go get another left tackle or get one in free agency, whatever it may be.
Yeah, you guys already know me.
I'm more of a patient guy with this thing because nothing is consistent on this team. Like, very few positions where you could say, you know what, that's going to be the guy that the Giants are going to have for the next 10 years. Like, there's very few positions on the field you feel about that.
Exactly, and you could call me this, because I guess you could say I'm about to be an apologist for Thomas, but give him the whole year. He's a rookie for crying out loud. Just give him the whole year. And I mean, Mark Colombo, before the Bucs game came out, Mark Colombo was like, you're going to see a more consistent and better Andrew Thomas. Lo and behold, the Bucs game was by far his best game of his rookie season so far, both in pass protection and in run blocking. So, I mean, if that's not a sign for improvement.
The thing is, do we know if Hernandez is coming back for this game?
He's not coming back for this game. I mean, think about it, like, COVID-wise, it's like, what, at least 2 weeks you got to be out or something like that, I think.
All right, so that's good. What happens if he plays really?
You want to talk about Shane Lemieux? Maybe his better performance has something to do with Shane Lemieux. I'm going to put this up there. We're going to get to it just now, but what do you think about that?
Penei Sewell is the best O-line prospect in decades. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. And then everybody said last year's O-line class is the best O-line class in decades. So It's like, you know what? I look at Penei Sewell. I see a lot of potential. But if you can tell me he's going to be the next, let's keep it real, Ogden, then yes, okay, go ahead and be
OGR. Last year, people were saying these 4 offensive linemen are the best one in decades. The year before that, was it Jonah Williams? I think he's the best offensive tackle in decades. And the year before that, well, this one was actually accurate. Quentin Nelson is the best offensive lineman in decades. Like it's that every single year.
Yeah.
But getting back, what were you gonna say?
Hey, go ahead.
I was gonna be like getting back to the Shane Lemieux thing. You didn't really get to give your complete thoughts on that. Do you think his improvement and Thomas's improvement was because of Shane Lemieux? And what did you think about Shane Lemieux in general?
On offensive line, it's trust. Does Andrew Thomas trust Shane Lemieux more than he trusts Will Hernandez? Because the year Will Hernandez was drafted, Nate Solder had his best career as a Giant. Okay, obviously we only have 2 years to go off of. And then Will Hernandez struggled mightily in his second year. So did Nate Solder. Will Hernandez is having an average season, or he's having a decent season run blocking. His pass blocking is atrocious. And Andrew Thomas struggled mightily. The one game you change out the left tackle, and everybody thought we were going to get beat to shreds on that left side. They held their own and even dominated at some points, especially in the run game. So it's just like, you've got to be able to trust a guy. And obviously, Andrew Thomas has more trust in Shane Lemieux than he does Hernandez. That's what it seems like. Now, we'll see by a shadow of a doubt, against this defense, because the Redskins have a legit front four, like arguably better than the Bucs. If they have another dominant performance, I don't think Will Hernandez sees the field again this year, except for injury.
Shout out to Raymond K again, and I want to get to what you said there, OGR, but obviously Super Chat, I'll get to this first. He says, I'm talking about Penny Sewell is the best offensive tackle prospect since Munoz. What do you think about that?
I've heard Munoz is probably the best tackle prospect of all time. Hey,
so that's pretty big praise.
That is, that's a Hall of Famer right there. So I don't know. But, a lot of people were high on Quentin Nelson, and he seems to be living up to...
He followed up with this right here. PFF has him as their best offensive line prospect since they started grading players.
I'm not big into grading. I'm not big into PFF. But if that, it sounds great. But until he plays, this is a real big cop-out answer. But until he plays in the NFL, we just don't know.
This is kind of funny. 2098 people will be saying he's the best QB prospect since Andrew Luck. That's kind of funny. I won't lie to you. But getting back to what you said, and Mike Nixon says this, Hernandez has to go. Lemieux did better, and Thomas played better with Lemieux on the field. Kind of piggybacking a little bit off of what you said.
It's a one-game sample size.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe the Washington football team studies the film this week and finds out how to beat both of them. And then what are we going to be saying? Put Hernandez back in there. Put Hernandez. It's a one-game sample size, guys. Stop overreacting.
How do you think we will do against the Washington defensive line?
I want a better performance we need to have a better performance than we did 3 weeks ago. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, right, going up against the Bucs defensive line, which is currently ranked the best in the NFL, you would think we would have an easy time against Washington. But I even said in my preview video, we have yet to transfer good things in like 2 successive games. So That's why I'm like, I can't say, oh yeah, we're definitely going to handle Washington defensive line.
And I wouldn't, and everybody's grasping for consistency. Because the Giants have been bad for long. Everybody, I want my team to improve too, but ease up, take time. I say this all the time. People are like, you're an asshole. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Giants are closer to a rebuild than they are, fixing everything. So that's.
I definitely agree with you there, man. Definitely 100% agree with you there, and this is kind of I feel weird saying this. This is kind of a good problem to have. If it turns out that Lemieux is actually really good, because then you have 3 good guards on your team, and one of them has to go. Because a lot of people have been talking about Kevin Zeitler possibly going, even though I don't want him to go, because he's our best offensive lineman. He's not like on a super top tier contract, but people still want him out of here for some reason. Whether it is they know he's valuable and they know they're going to get something back with draft picks, or they just want the contract off. But if you end up with a problem of, oh my God, Will Hernandez, Shane Lemieux, and Kevin Zeitler are all 3 really good guards, what are you doing?
You know what? Let it iron it out. That's a good problem to have.
Exactly. It's a good problem to have. What do you think about people that want Kevin Zeitler gone? Or what do you think about that?
People wanted Kevin Zeitler's gone because they saw the potential in a draft assets, and that's why they wanted him gone, because of that draft assets. I don't really think people are saying that right now, maybe, but I think he might be gone if things really don't work out. You know what I'm saying?
You mean as in the team, like as in we finished like say 1-15 or something?
No, I'm just saying cap space.
Oh, cap space wise. Yes. Okay then. Mike Nixon says we only had 1 sack. I mean, Washington only had 1 sack against us last time. We did pretty good.
1 sack, but quite a few pressures.
Pressures, probably a good amount of quarterback hits.
And arguably, our first win was given to us by you know who?
Ron Rivera.
Yeah, the best Giants coach of all time.
Come on, he gave us 1 win. Come on now.
The gift.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the second Washington game, man. What are you expecting? Are you expecting a win? Are you expecting a loss? Are you just like, man, I have no idea?
I'm expecting a win. This is a team that we've dominated for our entire existence. It's one team where even if they're going good, they know that even if the Giants suck, they still are in for a dogfight. I'm sorry, we just gotta beat Washington. If we don't beat Washington, oh my Lord, you think the backlash was looking bad.
Listen, I will say this. I said it. If there's one thing I hope you guys took away from my preview video is that it's not gonna be easy, because a lot of people think it's gonna be easy. But then on the other side, the last 2 times we played at FedEx Field, 2018. 40-15 win, 2019, 41-35 win. What are you thinking this year? Are we going to be in the 40s again?
No, I don't think we're going to be in the 40s, but I do. If the same Giants team that came out against Tampa, plays against Washington, we'll win that game.
With less mistakes from DJ.
Obviously.
Shout out to Joseph Clark in here. What up, my guy? He's in here. He says, what is up, gentlemen? I got good feelings for the second half. And that's another thing, just like 2018 and 2019 with Washington and FedEx Field. 2018 and 2019, the Giants did better in their second half. Like, is this just a thing now? Is this how we're going to be in 2020? What do you think?
You know what? It just all goes back to being an inconsistent team. So it's just like we're so Jekyll and Hyde. You know, I'm just hoping these last 3 weeks are you see a team just getting more and more consistent. So I'm just hoping we can get, consistent games for the next 8 games. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Mm-hmm. And nerding out, this is basically what OGR said right here. If Lemieux plays well Sunday and Thomas also plays well, then Giants will consider keeping them together on the left side. But like we said, it's a good problem to have. Like, that's one of the problems that I'm fine with having. Shout out to Raymond once again for the $2 super chat. He says, does Gelman survive past this season?
That is a question that everybody is looking to answer, and honestly, I do not have an answer for you. Like,
let's say he does survive. What would be your reasoning then if he does survive? Why do you think he would survive if he does survive?
Does
that mean that ownership is like, you know what, we're gonna give him some more time?
The ownership looked at it exactly how we thought they would look at it. You know what I'm saying? So let me get my thoughts straight here. So basically, ownership looked at it and said, this is a lost season because of numerous amounts of things. So that's why he would stay. And they're giving him a reprieve. And also, maybe they look at it the way I look at it and say, well, are we really going to go get a top candidate with what we have? I'm keeping on to Joe Judge. Like, people don't realize, like, a general manager does not want to be told, this is going to be your coach. This is going to be your VP of player personnel. This is going to be your assistant GM. Like, they want decisions. And if you want to get one of these guys like a Dodds, or, maybe if you're a big, I'm trying to think of the guy. I think he's director of player personnel for the San Fran. If you want one of these guys, then you're going to have to fire Joe Judge and clean out house. Are the Giants willing to clean out house after hiring Joe Judge? No, they're not. They'd be ludicrous. This is why you don't go off cycle. The biggest problem with the Giants has been their ownership and their willingness to be off cycle. It's not good.
Stand up, Giants fans. Shout out to Tana in here, man. Tana, of course, if you got time and you want to hop on, let me know. I'll swing you the link, bro. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, man. Listen, here's the thing with ownership and PTA. So shout out to PTA Sports. You guys in the chat, I'm sure you guys know him. If you don't, go check him out. He suggested this to me, and he even framed it. He's like, yo, Kush, this is my conspiracy theory, right? He's like, what if Gettleman and Judge went to the owners before the season started and they were like, yo, listen, it is a lost season. We're not going to get anything out of this, but, just take it as that and get us back next year. And then what if ownership actually said yes? Because this is what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking if they wanted Gettleman gone, they would have already fired this man by now. They would have already gotten him out of here by now. So maybe they do keep him. Maybe they are giving him a mulligan. Who knows?
I mean, people would friggin' lose their shit if they were giving him a mulligan. Me personally, no. At this point, you've fired the guy he hired. See, I always argue for continuity. That's the problem. Even to a detriment, I'll always argue for continuity. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe it's conspiracy theories, right? But honestly, here's why I have a hard time believing that conspiracy theory. Because then why would John come out and say, well, basically,
we should talk about Chris Mara too. You were the first person to probably bring that up like weeks ago if you want to talk about that.
Chris Mara. I hate Chris Mara. He cares more about horse racing than he does the Giants. And he's our VP of player personnel. And he's not going anywhere because his brother's the owner of the team.
Oh, I thought that was his dad. I thought Chris Mara was his John's son.
No, I think John's his brother. I could be wrong about that.
Whatever the case is,
let me double check that.
For anybody that doesn't know why we're talking about Chris Mara, he's been, basically, what is it, VP of player personnel since 2011. It's no secret that since 2011, with the exception of 1 year in 2016, the Giants have been bad. And you know what I'm saying? And, talent has a lot to do with that. Chris Mara ain't that should not be there. He's literally only there because of nepotism. He's only there because John Mara is the owner of the New York Giants, or one of the owners of the New York Giants. So that's what I'm saying, man. Bradley says worst decision was letting Thomas slip to 4. Ready for the pancakes? Let's get it. Bradley is an even bigger Andrew Thomas fan than I am, and I will say I did see a couple pancakes Monday night. By the way, Tana, if you are gonna hop on, I already swung the link on Twitter, so you could just pop in whenever you want to. Did you pull up the facts on Chris Mara yet?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to get the wiki just to make sure I got it right.
For sure. And this is what Joseph Clark says. If and when we get a new GM, I want someone from the Steelers or the Ravens. Those teams are always good and always restock well. In general, I would want somebody from a good organization. Yeah. I think not just Steelers or Ravens. You think about maybe 49ers, like OGR suggested, maybe even the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been good, for a couple years, even before Patrick Mahomes got there. There's a couple teams that I would prefer to get somebody from.
So Chris Mara is another grandson of Tim Mara. Chris Mara is current Giants vice president of player evaluation. All right, so he's just okay, so he's just related.
Does that mean he's a cousin or something?
I don't know what he is exactly. So Tim Mara is a native of New York City. Original Giants owner brought the franchise. What did he say? Did he say grandson of Tim Mara? Okay, so maybe he is the son of John Mara, which would make it even worse. Wait, hold up.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Let me get the chat in the meanwhile. Nedward Chan is saying Nick Caserio. So Nick Caserio, you guys gonna need to. I can't even pronounce this man's name correctly. You guys need to educate me on this Nick guy. I know he's from the Pats. I know that he was not the GM because I almost said Gelman. Bill Belichick has been, the coach / GM for the Pats for God knows how long. So what exactly was Nick's role over there in the Pats? And how much do you guys actually know if he had how much of a say in drafting players, signing players, and whatnot? Because a lot of people like him for a lot of, I don't know, man. A lot of people like him.
People like, here's the problem with Chris Mara. I'm sorry. Nick Caserio. Nick Caserio is the director of player personnel. He's been the director of player personnel since, I think, 08. I did my video on him. People like him because of what he's been a part of the Patriots this entire time, either a coach, director of player personnel, because he was director from 04 to 06, went to be a coach, came back to be director of player personnel. He's been there ever since. We don't know how much input he's had, because people will say, oh, well, he's had all this input. But don't forget, the Patriots draft have been awful since 2013. So if you want to give him all this credit, well, now seeing that fact, well, then isn't he just kind of like garbage at that point? Because they're diluted of talent, except for on the defense.
Even then, at that point, I don't want anybody GM-wise from the Patriots, because I still fully believe Belichick had full control and run of everything over there. Shout out to Raymond K for the $2 super chat again. Thank you so much, man. He says Andrew Thomas getting heat because of how good Mekhi has played. And then also you could throw in Tristan Wirfs in there. What are you thinking?
I agree. I agree with you.
Oh, that's it? Just a simple I agree with you. Okay, but I was waiting for something else. It was like, no, okay. Ohm Mystery, shout out to Ohm. He says, don't make Judge GM. I don't like it. Too much pressure on Judge. Other than the fact that, let the guy get used to being a head coach. I think we forget that he's a rookie head coach. I don't think I would ever make him a GM / head coach ever. But leave him just to be that head coach. That's it.
Yes, please.
I got another version of myself in here. So let's count. Tonight we saw the stimulus check hub. We saw my actual self. We saw my personal account. We saw the Jersey Shockey one, and now we got Hub Cocaine Man. Amazing. He says Dave Gettleman's free agent signings have been bad except Blake, Kyler, and James. Well, here's the thing. Blake, Kyler, and James all came in a season where he had money to spend. That's how I will say that.
Yeah.
Joseph says nothing against Judge, but I'm not making a 1-8 head coach the general manager as well. And I'm not knocking Judge. I agree. Let him get used to being the head coach. Raymond K says Mekhi is injured, but he's outplayed Andrew Thomas. I don't blame Andrew Thomas. He's played on a shortened COVID season, playing one of the toughest positions to translate from college pros. What do you respond to that he's outplayed Andrew Thomas?
Has outplayed Andrew Thomas. I mean, yes. Has he had a better season? Then yes. If that's what you want to say, then yes. He's been better than Andrew Thomas during the season. That's pretty much it.
I feel like there's something else under there because you really edited what you said mid-sentence.
Well, because I was about to say something else, and I would realize that it would have been the wrong thing to say.
Would you say that the competition level that both of them have played against have something to do with it?
Yes. All right. I finally found it.
What?
Chris Mara is the brother of John Mara.
Okay. Wow. They really covered up that information, didn't they?
Yes. Your old brother's a VP of player personnel.
Yeah, I can't let people know about this. Anyway, I was gonna say something else too. In regards to that. Oh man. Oh yeah. So, how can we talk about the fact that people say that the Leo trade was the worst thing ever, but now it's looking like the JPP trade was the worst thing ever? How good of a season is Jason Pierre-Paul having right now?
Oh, stop it. Oh yeah. I mean, you can only go by a player and what they do here. What was JPP doing here? Nothing.
JPP was our leading pass rusher when we traded him. What are you talking about? He was better than Vernon.
Pass rusher and wasn't worth the money we were paying him. He goes to another franchise and he's improved again. But he was trash here. Like he wasn't.
Oh nah, he was not trash, bro. He wasn't trash.
Bro,
he wasn't worth his contract, but he wasn't trash.
Well, he wasn't trash, but you know what? He wasn't earning his contract, and that's how I judge it.
Bradley says he's absolute garbage. I'm a defensive back, and I could get more pressure than him. Okay, Bradley.
Okay.
Okay, man. Okay. Hey, we were paying him. What were we paying him? 17 mil? Is that actually the contract we gave him?
No, we were paying him 20.
20 mil. Yeah, for sure. He was not playing on a $20 million type of contract the way he was playing, but he's definitely having that sort of resurgence right now. He had 10 sacks with 17 mil is what Edward Chan is saying. And yeah, you know what? Thinking back on it, we definitely need to clean house a little bit when Gelman came in, which is another thing, right? I've said if Gelman is gone, he's gone. I'm kind of done actively defending the guy. But I will always say this. For anybody that says Gelman had 3 years to rebuild the team and failed, that's false. He had 2 years. That first year was spent on just cleaning house, and they were trying to win in 2018, even though it didn't look like it.
Yeah.
So Kyle Cruz saying, do you think if Trevor, oh, by the way, Kyle Cruz, is that a high Bart Simpson? He says, do you think if Trevor says no to the Jets, how bad do you think it would look on Trevor? I don't know if it would necessarily look bad on him. It wouldn't
look bad on Trevor at all because people would be like, I guarantee Jet fans would be like, you know what? It's a figure of what we get. We've been such a bad organization for so long. We deserve this. Like, I honestly don't think Jet fans would be that mad.
Jets fans, I don't know. I don't know any Jets fans personally, but I could definitely see them have the reaction of, yeah, that's a Jets thing. It's kind of like how I always say it would be such a Giants thing if this happens. Like I said, going into the Bucs game, we shouldn't win this game, but it would be such a Giants thing if we do win this game. And just like the Washington thing, bro, it will be such a Giants thing.
I want to win at least 2 or 3 more games so I can just shut the narrative down that the Giants will get Trevor Lawrence. I just not the fact that's basically why, because I'm just tired of talking about Trevor Lawrence.
I want to ask you real quick, who is actually the worst team in the NFC East right now? Because not record-wise, just overall. Because I think that even though the Giants have the worst record, the way we play, we're not the worst
Cowboys
team.
are the worst team by far.
Explanation.
Yeah,
let me get.
They have a worse defense than we do. They literally cannot move the ball with Ben DiNucci, even with those offensive weapons. We don't know when Andy Dalton's going to be back because that's a pretty serious concussion. I mean, if we go up against Ben DiNucci the last week of the season, which we played the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we played them week 17.
That's 100% we are going to beat the Cowboys. Like that is 100% give me.
I agree with you. Do they win another game for the rest of the season if Ben DiNucci is there for the rest of the season?
Oh, no, they don't.
So here's the thing. Do the Cowboys somehow end up with Trevor?
No. Have you seen the Jets play?
No, they could trade up, bro. They could trade up to that first spot. What if they give them the whole house?
Trevor Lawrence. Go ahead. What's the future for Trevor Lawrence?
Because here's the thing. I completely agree with you. I do think that the Cowboys are the worst team in the NFC East right now. The reason I don't like that is because they will get a high pick and the Cowboys draft well. So they're going to make their team even better next year. Yeah,
but if the Jets are worse, I mean, Jets fans would be pissed if they get the Jets fans have needed a quarterback forever.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if the Cowboys get a high draft pick in general, they've drafted well. in the first round. They're going to get a good pick or a good person in the first round no matter what.
We'll see. I mean, they have bigger issues, like what the hell they're going to do with Dak.
Speaking of which, I fully expect Dak to leave because I don't think they're going to, especially after his injury, unless Jerry Jones is a way more considerate person than I thought before, he's not getting that contract.
Yeah, true.
So who's behind the Cowboys then? Is it the Eagles, the Giants, or the Washington football team that's behind the Cowboys for being the worst team in the NFC East right now?
Record-wise, it's got to be us. We're 1-7.
But we're not talking record-wise. We already established that.
Man, it's really hard not to. The Giants fan in me will not. That question will be answered Sunday. How about that one?
It will be answered Sunday.
We're going to cop out, but that question will be answered Sunday because if we beat the Washington football team, I can think we are better than the Cowboys, even though they beat us a couple weeks ago. And if the Giants beat the Washington football team on Sunday, we are the second best team in the division. Obviously, we can't put ourselves over the Eagles because obviously they beat us.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that because I'm fully on board with saying, despite the fact I feel like Giants fans are just in a depressed rut right now. They're all in negative emotions. But the thing is, we're not the worst team in the league. It's just record-wise. I know the record's obviously really important, but we don't play like the worst team in the NFC East. We're better than Cowboys. I think we are better than Washington.
10 points or less besides the San Francisco game. Like, we've been in every game legitimately.
Exactly.
Like, bad teams don't do that.
Exactly.
And the worst teams don't do that.
And I agree with what the chat is saying. The Giants can't finish games. If we could close out our games, that's what makes the difference between a bad team and a good team. If a good team can finish out their games, right? But I'm talking about the worst team. And we're not, I don't think we're anywhere close to being the worst team. We are still a bad team, though.
Joseph Clark, keep those patients. You're going to need it.
He says, I am patient. I'm not depressed. I'm like OGR. I'm patient. So, okay. Do the Eagles start collapsing eventually? Because it seems like every year they have injury problems. This year was more injury problems than ever. Like, I don't know how they've been on a 2-game winning streak. Does that stop eventually? Or are they going to continue pulling out magic?
No, but I continue. I think they'll win the division. Eagles fans will boast their chests that we're repeat winners. I really don't want them to be repeat winners, by the way. I kind of like having that record.
By the way, do they win the division with what, like 6-10 or 7-9 or something?
Even worse, 5-11 might get it.
Ah, damn, that's a disgrace. But yeah, go on.
And honestly, they're not going on a run here. Let's just face it. They're not. I mean, literally, that if Carson Wentz plays like he did against the Cowboys when he played us 2 weeks ago, we beat them going away.
Mm-hmm.
If he plays like that legit against the Giants, we're beating the Eagles in 2 weeks.
By the way, that Cowboys-Eagles game, that game was just a showcase of like really two of the worst teams in the entire league. That game was horrible. It was just mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, which is what made me think to myself, you know what? We are not as bad as the guys on TV right now.
Yo, the Giants have legit 3. If the Giants beat the Washington football, I hate saying this. If the Giants beat the Washington football team and then beat the Eagles and then come off the bye and somehow pull it out against the Bengals, and the way Cleveland's been playing, and then you have Dallas.
Okay. That's where you lost me. As soon as you said the way Cleveland's been playing, that's where you lost me. Everything else, I was like, you know what? I could kind of get on board with. But Cleveland, come on now. Cleveland.
The way Cleveland's been playing, meaning they've been playing awful, we have a legit shot to beat Cleveland Browns the way they've been playing. If we play, I'm telling you, if we play, we went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the league. You know that's a playoff team.
Yes. We know that's a team that's probably going to be in the Super Bowl.
If the Giants are able to keep that effort up every week, we are going to beat teams here. Big time. Or as our maybe what would be former president would say, or what is
still he still is our president, so as our president would say.
The Giants have a big shot bigly.
They have a big shot bigly. Trust me, I've spoken to some really good sources. The Giants have a really good shot. Trust me, I've spoken to many people. The Giants.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really proud of this. Cody OGR, aka Mr. Steal Your Girl. I love it. That's my first real troll. I'm enjoying this.
I don't know why, but like they've been coming out tonight. We had Tana talking drugs. We had like the 5 different versions of me, and then
we got the cocaine you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's saying Baker ain't that good. That's a very weird shot. I don't know what kind of face I'm making in there, but that's a very
put
weird
white powder on that nose if you're gonna call him cocaine.
Facts. You gotta edit it just a little bit, man. I had a comment here before everything else popped up. Okay, there it is. Joseph Clark. Shout out to Joseph. He says, I see this team getting better. I actually see talent on this team. There's a base to build on for once. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. What are you saying to that?
I hope he's right.
And David A.V. is saying the Eagles will win it at 6-9-1. Mark my words. But let me pull up the Eagles schedule because Carson Wentz, I don't know. What is your stance on Carson Wentz?
He's lost his consistency. That's basically what I'm saying. But I mean, a lot of the Eagles aren't doing him any favors. But I'm also going to pull up the Eagles schedule as
so the Eagles are currently on bye. Then when they come off the bye, they face us, which honestly could go either way. Then they face the Browns, which I think will be a loss. Then they face the Seahawks, which I think will be a loss. Then they face the Packers, which I think will be a loss. Then they face the Saints, which I think will be a loss. Then they face the Cardinals, which maybe could go either way, but the Cardinals are good, so I probably think that's a loss. Then they face the Cowboys, that's going to be a win. And then they face Washington, that's going to be a win. So I think realistically speaking, they probably have 3 more wins in total on their schedule.
Let me just double check that. So, all right. So us is up in the air. Browns, I think they beat the Browns. They lose to the Hawks. They lose to the Packers. They lose to the Saints. I think they lose to the Cardinals.
And then you got Cowboys and then Washington.
Cowboys and then Washington. I think Washington at the end of the season could be a loss. So
at the end of the season?
Legit Cowboys.
Maybe. Why do you say Washington at the end of the season could be a loss?
Because they already beat them once.
That was the best game by far that Washington played all season, though.
Yeah.
I don't see them replicating that.
I just think that defense is going to give them fits. I really do. That Washington defense can give people fits. I mean, we've seen.
What was the sack total in week 1? Was like what, something crazy, like 8 sacks or something on Carson Wentz? So I mean, yeah. Let's see here. Mr. Icy, shout out to him in the chat. He says, OGR, we have a legit shot of beating everyone. If we beat the football team, then the Eagles, then we will win the division because then we will know how to win. And this is something. What if somehow, some way, and I'm going to entertain it because
shout out to Mr. Icy. He was actually the first person to leave me a comment in my last video.
Oh, really? Shout out to Mr. Icy. But let's entertain this crazy thought. What if somehow, some way, they develop, a way to win in the season? What happens?
Problem is now if Daniel Jones plays well down the stretch. that's see, Mr. Icy, be careful what you're asking for because he was like, Daniel, he was like straight up on the comment, he was like, Daniel Jones straight up shit, worst QB in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the worst QB in the league found a way to get this team to win. So that means the worst QB in the league just found
that means that he found a way to put us in the playoffs if we
exactly,
which is crazy to think about.
You're hoping for the opposite, believe it or not.
So Mr. Icy was one of the guys that's like he's done with DJ.
I don't know if he's completely done with DJ, but that's what his comment kind of reflected.
Mikey C shot him in chat. He says, if Wentz was on the G-Men, I wonder what would be said since he has more turnovers than DJ. Like, you know what? OGR was also one of the first people to point this out. Carson Wentz has a bigger fumbling problem than DJ. He said that before the season, and a lot of people are seeing it now because they're not winning, which is what covered it up. Because they're doing terribly, Carson Wentz's turnovers is being exemplified.
Yeah.
He has more. I think he has more fumbles than DJ this year. I don't know if he has more interceptions because Daniel Jones has 9 on the year or something. I'm not sure if he has more interceptions, but he does have more fumbles. That's for sure. Speaking of which, it's crazy. All the I think we both agree Daniel Jones makes a lot of mistakes, but if there's one thing he's fixed is I haven't seen much fumbles.
Well, he's fumbled once every other game. So instead of fumbling every game, he's done once every other game. So,
hey, I'll take it. That's improving.
Hey, I'll take it.
That's improving, man. That's improving. The cocaine man says we need to finish games and we easily beat every team in the division. Well, right now, yeah, I mean the NFC East is absolute trash. I wouldn't put it past any team in this division to beat every other team in the division. To be honest with you.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah, and that's gonna be it for now, guys. We only got about an hour tonight. Hopefully, everybody, I hope you guys had a good time. You could get your last-minute questions in here as we begin to close up. But shout out to OGR for coming on, man.
Shout out to you for inviting me, man.
Yeah, we got something by Fat Cave Studio. Last minute question here. He says, "How do you guys feel about the Giants maybe drafting large?" Oh, I was like, "Who is that?" And then I read the name out loud, and I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense." Shout out to Calvin. He says, "If there's a power struggle between Giants ownership and leadership, I'm giving players a pass for their results thus far, including Judge." What do you think about that?
Absolutely, because I believe ownership's the biggest problem.
Thank you, Raymond, for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That's it for now, and we're out.